Welcome to the show. Today, I'm sitting down with actor and author Richard Scott, whose journey spans childhood performances, award winning scripts, and now his first book. From bluegrass inspired creativity to Hollywood shaped opportunities, his path is rich with stories, and I'm excited to explore the passion behind his work. Richard, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate this.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Yeah, so we have a few friends in common, one of them being Alan Catan, and he actually set this up for us. And I'm just so, listen, he is so lovely, so gracious, so kind. And I'm just so thankful to him. I'm thankful that God crossed our paths and now he's crossed our paths.
He is a wonderful man,
Yeah.
great friend.
Yeah, he is a really sweet person. So we have a lot to talk about. So I want to get started, and I want to go all the way back to the very beginning. So you've always been a performer, and I read that your grandfather was actually in a bluegrass band when you were little, and you pretty much grew up in the entertainment industry. Did that your family's musical roots, did that have any influence on you wanting to go into the performing aspect?
Um, I guess indirectly it did. My family, my biological mother, had a recording studio,
Wow.
and she would produce this live country music show that was at a local theater, and I would come out and introduce the MC every week, and I was real young,
Yeah.
um, but it was fun, and it was the first part of entertainment that I ever had um,
Hmm.
anything into, and then we had a lot of friends that were in the country music industry.
Hmm.
Uh, my mom, Glenda, I call her, but Glenda K. James. She used to sing on the Grand Ole Opry, and
Wow.
her brother was Lori Morgan's step uh, godfather, and it's just there's a lot of people in the industry that I've been around, and I have met most of the country music people,
Hmm.
um, and I grew up around it, and then after I lost my biological mother, my grandparents um, they adopted and finished raising me. And my dad, I call him my dad. He was actually my granddad, but he was a bluegrass musician, and
Yeah.
he would travel, and he played, all over, and even a few times with Flat and Scruggs, and met Bill Monroe and everything. So I grew up around music, and I guess that did just plant something in my
Yeah,
head.
yeah, it was in your blood. I mean, it's in your blood. I love bluegrass. My sister, me and my sister are complete opposites. She would hate that. If I said I love bluegrass, she'd be like, "Oh, I hate it." I love it. It is just such a part of American history, it's beautiful too. I mean, there's some really beautiful songs. Some of it's funny, some of it's fun, you just want to kick up your heels, but I love it. It's beautiful and definitely has a place in our world. Yeah, so let's talk about what you just said. You started introducing um the host of a live country music show when you were only 9 years old, and you did that for 3 years until you were
I did.
12. I mean, how in the world do you bring yourself at 9 to get up on stage in front of a live audience? Like, like I said before we started, I was like, hey, this is taped. If we mess up, we go back, my son edits it. But how in the world where do you find that in you at 9 years old and not be petrified?
Um, I think if you were to ask anyone that knows me, they will tell you that I never meet a stranger. I'm not shy in any way. Um, I don't know. It was thrilling to me, and I loved being out there. And even at that age, I mean, it was exciting to get the feel from the audience. Because there's something about being on stage.
Mhm.
You get that energy from the audience,
Yeah.
and so I just enjoyed it. I really did, and I can't remember ever being afraid.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when my son was in preschool, he was like 4, and they had like the end of the year play, and when the curtains open, my son was ready to go because he was a performer too. He was just all about playing his guitar and all that. But I remember this one little boy, he looked at the audience and he just went, "Woo," and he started bawling, crying. And then when he did, a bunch of other kids started crying because they were like, well, if he's scared, we're scared. And so not everybody is as, up to it as you were. So that's good for you. I mean, I know what you mean. I never meet a stranger either. And actually I talk way too much. So, but it
I
comes
used
in
to get in
handy.
trouble for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but it comes in handy in our line of work, definitely. So I can't imagine being a host or like you, 9 years old, getting up on stage and looking around and being scared. So I'm glad you weren't. But what do you remember most vividly about that early taste of the spotlight when you were 9 years old?
Well, it was exciting because I know Jesse Coulter was a guest there one time, and Hank Williams Jr.
Mm,
And so I got to meet the stars,
yeah.
and it was exciting. And even though I was a kid, when I was backstage, these people would actually talk to me, and I was thrilled to death, because here I was a little kid, and
Yeah.
they actually would sit there and talk to me.
Hmm.
And so it, I don't know, I just found it fascinating because I love hearing people's stories still.
Yeah.
I love hearing how they started out. Um, and I used to love, even with my grandmother, my great grandmother actually, who lived to be 102. She had some of the most wonderful stories of the past. And so I've always enjoyed that. And being in that setting, it put me in contact with all of these people. And so, I did meet the Statler brothers and the Oak Ridge Boys and Lori Morgan and Conway Twitty and Loretta Lynn. I
Oh,
met all these
wow.
people.
Yeah.
It was really nice,
Yeah.
because how many kids can say they've done?
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? You were so fortunate too, because, and like, I love that you said, even as a child, you liked to talk to them, because I think that that's a lot, that's lacking a lot nowadays in our society today, because you don't see kids sitting with older people and there's so much wisdom, even just to listen to their stories, even if they're not giving advice, but just to listen to their stories about the olden days and the past. We can learn history. We can just, glean wisdom from them. Excuse me, wisdom from them. And
I
kids
agree.
just don't do that today. They just, they just, I mean, I don't see it. They might do it, but I don't see it. And it's sad. So I'm glad you had that opportunity. And I had that as well. My grandparents raised me and my sister. And I feel like that I got things from them I wouldn't have got had they not been in my life, and I'm very, very blessed, very thankful for that. So yeah. So
I
after
am as
you
well.
had your 3 years on stage, live, live with all these country music stars, then you started performing in plays and commercials. So how old were you when you started doing that? Were you in high school or were you still young?
Um, that skipped up to high school, and I was going through, and I did a play called Anti Mame,
Oh yeah.
that they made a movie about actually,
Hmm.
and then I was in some local commercials for car dealerships and a shoe store and a sporting goods store.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Um, I got to model clothes one time um, on a runway.
Yeah.
That I didn't know what I was doing. So I was a little nervous on that one because I was thinking, I've never done this before.
Yeah.
But I jumped in with both feet as I usually do, and
Yeah.
so
Well, it's good to take everything. And like, I was talking to a guest about a month ago, and I told him, I said, uh, all of my jobs that I've had, and listen, I've worked a ton of jobs, like everything. And every job I've ever had, I've tried to learn every different department. because I wanted to be invaluable to the company I was working for. And if you know how to do everybody else's job, like, like for example, if I was selling shoes, then I wanted to learn how to sell the clothes too. You know what I mean? And like, so I think it's good to have a little bit of experience in all of it so that now you're an actor now. So if somebody was to say, we need you to walk a runway, well, you've done that before. So, you can say, yeah, I've done that. So, yeah, it's really good. So, how did those formative performance years prepare you for the actor that you are now?
Well, I kind of took a break and I took care of my parents, who were my grandparents,
Yeah.
as they aged, and got married and everything. And I was doing bodybuilding contests during those years. Kind of stepped back from all the entertainment, and then after I lost my wife and family, I kind of got back into it again, starting with background work. And I've done some, short films and things like that, nothing major. I enjoy the writing because that is something that even in school I used to write stories and enter
Mhm.
contests.
Yeah.
Um, I've written several screenplays, even have a TV show pilot that I've written, and I've won several awards with those. But Hollywood is in kind of a unique state. We'll put it that way.
It sure is.
So
Yeah.
it is, and so right now, unless you are producing a remake, a sequel, or a superhero movie, pretty much Hollywood's not interested.
Yeah.
So I went back to writing, and that's where the book came.
Yeah.
And I decided to take this book, which goes with my beginnings because it is based off of a country song
Hmm.
by Waylon Jennings. So
Yeah.
it's all one big
I
circle.
just want to say, like, just for a minute, for your devotion to your grandparents or parents, and the love that you had for them, that you stepped away from an industry that is known for actors and actresses being selfish and narcissistic and all about me and what I can do and how I can get to the top. The fact that you stepped away from that to care for your family, I mean, that just shows like such a devotion in you. It really shows what kind of character you have. And that's I mean, that's fantastic. I just think that's fantastic because, like I said, most people in that industry would be like, no, hire somebody and I'm going to go chase my dream. But for you to do what you did, that really shows the depth of character that you have.
Well, I would do it again.
Yeah.
I don't regret not 1 minute of it. Um, I'm glad for the time that I had them.
Yeah. So, how did that season of family responsibility change your perspective on life altogether and on your career?
Well, is this a mini series? We, I I hate to say this really, but it changed my outlook on people because we live in that politically correct world where people like to say what sounds good when they're in front of you or post it on social media or whatever. But when you actually have crisis, that's when you find out who really means those words.
Mhm.
Nowhere near the amount of people mean it that they post it.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
found that out.
Yep.
Um, and so it crushed my trust in people to a lot, really. I mean, I hate to say that, but it really did.
Yeah.
So now it's one of those things people have to earn my trust. And I don't want people to feel like, it's guilty until proven innocent type thing, but um, I was really burned through all of that. And it left me alone and struggling. Um, and I did not have the people there who always said, oh, if you need me, just give me a
Yeah.
call,
Yeah.
but they don't pick up.
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
and Hollywood, I hate to say it, not everyone. I have some wonderful friends that are actors and have been in the business for years, but there are a lot of people here that are selfish,
Mhm.
that if you ask for help, the only way they're going to help you is if they see something in it for themselves.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's not me. I like to help people.
Yeah.
I like to see people succeed, you
Yeah.
know?
Me
So,
too. And, Richard, I started my own network last year, around this time last year. And, I've come across people in this last year who they're like, what can you do for me? Before I help you, what can you do for me? And I'm like, dude, I can't do nothing for you. I'm just trying to get started myself. I'm like a baby learning to walk. And so I've been hurt by people who I've literally reached out to because they do have more experience in this type of thing. And they're like, sorry. I actually had one person say, well, the thrill of it is to do it on your own. And I'm like, but you have like, anyway, whatever. It's not about me, but yeah, I totally get it. And with the caregiving as well, my husband died last June last year in
uh,
2024, and I was his only caregiver, and he had dementia, and he was on hospice for almost 6 weeks, and it got really hard, and I literally had no one. I had to hire a woman to come and stay with him while I went to the grocery store, and then I hired her to just go do the errands for me, but I had no one. And that's a hard path to walk, but I tell you, you realize a lot of things about yourself and
it
about
is.
life, and it opened your eyes to a lot. So I'm glad you said that, because it changes you in ways you never thought it would, but it turns out it's all good. So and you do realize who's there for you and who's not. So yeah.
You
So,
do.
but as you just said, you have good friends in the industry, and you have friends like Cherie J. Wilson, Kathy Podwell, and they helped you to return to acting after you took that break. So, what did those industry friendships mean to you during your transition when you were trying to get back in?
Just learning a lot from them. Cherie has, I'll say, a wonderful career because she spent several years on Dallas. She was on Walker, Texas Ranger. She's been in Hallmark movies. I mean, she's had a very, very good career, and she's someone that I really look up to and I really admire. And her advice, I soak it in because she has been there and she knows. And
Yeah.
so we were hoping to get a project launched together with one of my scripts, but as you said, funding is very tough right now.
Yeah.
So, but she's been great. Kathy has been one of the best friends I could ever have. Another Walker, Texas Ranger alumni, Jimmy Wilczek, who played Trent Malloy, is a
Mhm.
very good friend of mine, has
Wow.
been very successful in helping me promote this book.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do have a lot of people in the industry that that encourage me, and I learn from them because any advice they give me, I soak it in
Hmm. Yeah.
because so many people are not willing to give you advice, or they want to give you that PC answer,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I don't like to do.
Yeah.
Um, but those are the people that stand by you when you do succeed.
Yeah.
Um, the book has been a very big eye opener. All the people that were, oh yeah, we're rooting for you. Yeah, when it actually got published and it hit Barnes and Noble and it hit Amazon, there were some people that were, oh, I'm happy for you. You could tell that it was not genuine,
Hmm.
and and it was sad because some of these people I actually thought they were in my corner,
Yeah.
but it was almost like when it happens,
Hmm.
they're really not, you know?
Yeah, that reminds me of this. I always say this. I saw it a few years ago, and man, it holds true. people want you to do good. They just don't want you to do better than they're doing. And when they see you, some people, well, so I should say some people want you to do good or do well. They just don't want to see you do better than they're doing, because they get jealous and they can't handle it. And they're like, some people in your life put you in a place, and when you start to rise above the level they think you should be, they get jealous and they don't like that. And I've had people in my life recently like that. And I thank God that I'm able to recognize that now, because for years I wasn't able to recognize it. And I was just like, what's wrong? What's wrong? But listen, you hit your mid 50s and then you're like, I don't care. And so, yeah, I just cut them off, because I'm like, if you're not rowing the same way I'm rowing, you're rowing against the tide and my boat ain't going to move. So you're out of the boat, and that's just how you have to be, especially when you get older, you start to realize. So yeah. And it's hurtful, and it's very hurtful, because the people that you supported and then don't want to support you back or exhibit some type of jealousy, that it breaks your heart. But it is what it is. And people reveal themselves in times like that. So yeah. So we're talking about how you're a writer, and we'll get to the book in a second, but you're not only a screenwriter, but you're an award-winning screenwriter. Your first screenplay, Shadows Over Sulphur Springs, won several awards. So what inspired you to have that Western storytelling vision, and how did it feel to see your work recognized by others in industry? Because to win to write something is like, wow, I wrote a book or I wrote a screenplay. That feels good. But when it's recognized so much that you win an award for it, how does that feel? I've never won an award for anything. So how does that feel to be recognized by your peers, and people who are in the same industry?
Um, at first, I really did not. I didn't know how to act. It was so foreign that, wow, I wrote this and they like it,
Yeah.
And so uh, it it's exciting, it's humbling, there's so many emotions that go into that. When I walked down to the stage and they handed me the award, I don't know, it was almost like being back on the stage when I was 9 years old.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's
um,
great.
that came back to me actually,
Yeah.
and I don't know. She started asking me questions about the screenplay, and things just started to come out, and it started to feel good. Like I actually belong here,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So I've been fortunate because I've had several screenplays now that I've entered in festivals all over the world, and the screenplay version of this book actually won in Prague, and it was an overall winner. And I did a satellite thank you to the crowd because I could not go to Prague. But there have been, yeah, a lot of awards now, and then I've had them place at different things and get recognition. So I'm hoping that one day Hollywood's going to shift to where they look at new people.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is not a remake, so but it's exciting, and I'm very thankful that
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I mean, it would have to be. And I love that you said you had that full circle moment, like when you were a kid, you were on stage. Man, that is so precious, and that's something you'll never forget. You'll always have that with you. So yeah, so let's talk about the book. So first you wrote a screenplay based on Waylon Jennings' song Rose in Paradise. And like you said, that went on to win several awards and festivals. And then you turned it into a novel by the same name that you just released. Like, was it last November or the beginning of December? My Rose in
Beginning of
Paradise.
December.
Yeah. So that's fantastic. So what I want to know is, because listen, I tried my hand, I don't know if you know, but I'm an author as well. I have 8 books of my own, and then I've written like 20 books for a company as a ghostwriter. And so
Okay.
to write is one thing. I tried my hand at screenwriting. That is not for the faint of heart. So how do you go from being a screenwriter to being a novelist? Because that is entirely two different writing styles, and I cannot imagine
Yes.
being able to cross over.
Well, I guess I could say that I am more passionate about the books than I am the screenplays.
Oh.
Don't hold that against me, Hollywood. Um, um, with the book, I'm able to take that entire movie and put it right here.
Yeah.
I don't have to fight with anybody on casting or anything, which I cast them in my head.
Yeah.
Um, and I was able to create that entire world because
Yeah.
I see these books as movies.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm writing them, I give everybody a voice and I see everything, and I want the reader to be able to see. You know, people have been talking about their wedding is very detailed because
Mm-hmm.
I wanted people to see exactly where they were,
Yeah.
and so it is different because the screenplays you don't have all the detail. That's on camera.
Yeah.
So I'm able to place all of that in here and um, make the actors say just what I want them to say.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Like I said, I tried back in 2017 to write a screenplay with a guy who lives in Hollywood for my second book. And of course, listen, like they already had a director and everything. We were pitching it to studios. I did the Hollywood Pitch Fest. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Mhm.
But my problem was that he was trying to change it to, in my mind, it was the love story that I wrote. In their minds, they wanted it to be like a fatal attraction type thing. And I was like, that's not how I wrote it. They wanted to change it. And then I was writing my part of it with all of the details that the book has. And they were like, you can't do that. You got to say what's happening. That's it, because the camera will do the rest. But man,
Right.
I couldn't do it. I was like, I cannot do this. It's hard because I think you have to limit it to what, like, I don't know, like if a book has 200 pages, you only need what, like 80 pages of a screenplay or something, or maybe not even that much, but it's just really different.
It depends on the type movie and everything. Generally, they try to gauge it to a page a minute,
Yeah.
and like this book is 289 pages. um, so a lot of cutting down there,
Yeah.
but a lot of the description and everything of the wedding and all would be for the camera to show.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yes, you would be able to cut a lot of that out. But um, the hard thing about Hollywood with the book, you have creative control. As my publisher would argue that, but because I was very firm about this book,
Yeah.
it's going to stay a certain way. Um, Hollywood, yeah, they want you, especially when you're new,
Yeah.
they want to be able to take it and create something else. And it's like, if that's what you're wanting to create, why did you start with my script?
Right.
Because it's not the same.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I couldn't understand. Like they completely wanted to change and I was like, that's not how I wrote it. I wrote it as a love story. And they're like, well, we think it'd be better. It's like a fatal attraction. I could not imagine that book being a fatal attraction type thing. I was like, oh, this ain't working for me. And I just finally got so tired of it. I was just like, you know what? Let's just let's forget it. And I didn't follow through. And let me tell you, I feel happy that I didn't, because I don't know. I feel glad that I didn't get involved in the Hollywood stuff, because I don't know. Like, it's just, to me, Hollywood seems dangerous. I don't know. Because after all the stuff started coming out and people were starting to get exposed and stuff. And I was like, man, I really didn't want to be in the midst of all of that, because we never know how we might compromise. And I would never want to, compromise anything for the sake of like a movie or the promise of a contract or something. So it was, I feel like what was meant to happen happened. So yeah.
I think you did the right thing. I
Yeah.
have a story. It's called Bug Soup, and that is not a Adam's Family dish. I promise you. But it's not usually what I write, but it brings a lot of people together in one event because a little girl gets kidnapped, and it brings the detectives and the family and a waitress, and brings a lot of people together for this one event, and they all get tied together at the end, and it has a happy ending. I had a studio that wanted to take this and create a movie with it,
Uh,
but they started wanting to change it and take out the good ending, and
mhm.
they were doing things that I did not feel good about.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, this is not my story anymore. And I don't want to be inflexible. I
Mhm.
want to be able to work with someone and go,
Yeah.
oh, well, you know what? That is a better idea. And
Yeah.
we can come together. But it was just a steamrolling thing of, no, this is what we're going to do. No, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you've hacked up my story now, and I don't even want to do it. So
Yeah.
I
And
toned it down.
yeah.
I actually, and everybody here thinks I'm crazy, um, because they'll do anything, a lot of these people,
Yeah.
for a role or to get
Mhm.
produced or whatever. But if I'm not happy with it, if I don't feel good putting my name on it,
Mhm.
then I don't want to do it. I'd
Right.
rather it was never done
Yeah. I
to
get
do
that. I
something
totally
I'm
get that.
embarrassed by.
And I respect you for that. And I'm sure a lot of people do. I always say, stay true to yourself and who you are fundamentally as a person. Like you got to listen when you lay down at night. The only thing you have is integrity. I mean, I don't care if you got $1 million in the bank or 10 cents in the bank. If you have integrity, you have everything. So I always try to stay true to myself and true to God. So yeah.
I believe, you know, we are wrapped up in a world where people care too much what others think.
Yeah.
The main person that you need to please that's on this planet is the one in the mirror.
Hmm. Yeah.
If that person is happy,
Hmm. Yeah.
that's what you need to start with.
Yep. Exactly.
Because, people on social media or random people out here that you're trying to please and you're trying to look good for them, why?
Yeah. Yeah.
Be
Exactly.
happy with you.
Yeah.
And if they like it, great. And
Yeah.
if they don't, that's still great.
Yep.
As long as
Yeah.
you are happy with you, that
Yeah.
person in the mirror is who you need to look at and talk to. And that's the hardest person in the world to talk to.
Yeah.
Um, to look at that person sometimes and go, you know what, you screwed up.
Yeah.
That's really hard to do, but um, I think if you stay true to that person in the mirror, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And that's the truth. That's the truth because, you know, uh, on the same in the same vein I was talking about, at the end of the day, the only one you have is yourself. I mean, when you lay down at night, you may have a spouse, but really you're always with yourself. You got to be happy with who you are.
That
So
is so right.
so I want to talk about you join Endless Imagination Productions. And so, what excites you the most about your future creative projects in both acting and screenwriting? Are they helping you get like projects like acting roles and stuff like that?
Well, that is a company that I started with a friend of mine, to try to take my scripts, because I have several, and I have a TV pilot, which is also a Western. Um,
Wow.
and we wanted to use that as a platform, to try to, work with the scripts and get them to production, whether it's, you know, through Hallmark or
Mm-hmm.
Angel Studios or ever who. Um, so that's where Endless Imagination was, and that title came out of my strange little brain, um, because I do have an endless imagination.
Yeah.
I have so many stories up here,
Mm-hmm.
and I know inside my head is probably a very scary place for anybody to see, but I've always had many, many stories, and I have so many more to tell.
Yeah, I
So,
love that. I love that. I do too. I'm like, I think of stuff all the time. Even last night laying in bed, I was like, I'm going to work on, I'll tell you what I thought about. I thought about how when Jesus was born and, all babies cry. And I thought, what did that cry of this newborn savior do to the entire world? What did that cry mean to the entire world? And I was like, I'm going to write a book about this. And I wonder if I could get it made into like a little, 90-minute document, or not documentary, but like a 35-minute short or a 30-minute short. But I was like, we know when he came as a baby, like that's the story of Christmas. And then when he died on the cross and when he rose. But can you imagine when the world, especially like the enemy who knew that Jesus was coming as a baby, when all of hell heard that baby's cry, and I thought, man, there's a book in that. I'm going to write that, because yeah,
You
I just,
should.
yeah. And so but all kinds of stuff like that floats in my head too. And it's usually in the middle of the night. And I'm like, where's the ink pen and paper? Sometimes I'll just go on my phone and say it into my, like my recorder and video it. And I'm like, write a story about Jesus crying. So, but yeah, when you're a creative like that, we just have so much going on in our brains. I don't know about you, but I have ADHD. And I think it's just where I have so much going on in my brain all the time and everything's bouncing around like ping pong balls. So, yeah, but that's a good thing though, if I could just sit down long enough to get it to come out.
I'm trying to figure out which one I want to turn into a book next.
Yeah.
Of course, I have to get this one launched and
Yeah.
everything. It's not really finished launching yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting my name out there and
Mhm.
letting people know who I am as an author.
Yeah, I
And
cannot wait to read it. I'm going to order it. I was on Amazon the other day looking at it, and something happened. And I went through the house, and when I came back, it like totally slipped my mind. And by that time, the page was gone off of my phone. My phone had, I don't know, how it'll go to sleep or whatever. But when you held it up, I was like, yeah, I was going to order that book the other day, but I cannot wait to read it. It sounds so good. And the cover is so beautiful. And I don't know about you, but it's so hard to choose a cover because that's what represents your book. And people say never judge a book by its cover, but let's face it, all books
we
are
all
judged by their
do.
covers. That's the first thing we see. But that book is beautiful. The two characters are just, they're gorgeous, and it's just a beautiful cover. So congrats to whoever designed that. It's beautiful.
Well, thank you. It was me.
Wow. Oh
We
my
went
gosh.
through 9 covers,
Wow.
and I was not happy with anything. And I came up with everything. When I sent it to the publisher, they, had to format it
Yeah.
properly and put the font and everything. But no, as I said, I've been awful, I guess, in some ways, because I wanted this book
Yeah.
because it follows the song by Waylon Jennings.
Mm-hmm.
I said, look, the plot, the mystery of the song, everything has to stay true.
Yeah.
And there was, well, what if we did? No, that's not how it goes. Because this this is very personal to me. Uh, my dad would play this song when I was a kid, and I heard this song over and over. But I always thought there's more to this story than the 3.5 minutes of that song.
Wow.
And one
Oh.
day he said, you know what? You should write that down.
Oh.
And, at first you're like, oh, yeah, okay, right. But the more I thought about it, the more it was like, okay, I do need to write that down. And
Yeah.
so I did. And it lay dormant for a long time.
Wow. Gosh.
Um, because, I was sitting here going, well, I'm working on this, I'm working on that.
Mm.
And, now I'm doing books.
Yeah.
Who knows where you're going to be tomorrow?
Yeah,
But
exactly. Yeah.
I was picky, and the cover, I was very picky. My publisher probably, wants to send daggers my way, but, um, I was not flexible on that. The
Yeah.
next book I will be, it's not based on a
Mhm.
story,
Right. Yeah. I
only
mean,
mine. So, yeah.
it's just a beautiful cover. And like I said, that's the first, I go in, I live what, a mile and a half from Books a Million. Let me tell you, I could, like, if somebody kidnapped me, I would say, can we just stay in Book? You can keep me forever if you'll just take me to Books a Million. Like, well, we can stay in Books a Million, hide out. I love Books a Million. And so, like, if I saw that in there, I would gravitate toward it. It's just so beautiful. It is such a beautiful cover.
Well,
So
thank you.
you did a great job on that. I'm glad you didn't relent and let him do something else, that you kept it true to the story. because it really does. It's like, I mean, it's just, it's so pretty. I love it. So,
It had to, I
yeah.
didn't want, they came up with some things that looked a little too Harlequin romance for me. And though it is a love story,
Mm-hmm.
like in the song, it
Yeah.
starts out a love story, but it turns dark.
Mm.
And
Wow.
I don't think people realize that, and I tell
Oh,
everyone, go listen to the song, you'll know the story. If you like
wow.
that song, you'll love the book.
Yeah, I can't wait to read it. I'm going to order it tonight as soon as we get off here. So,
Do
but
you know this is my only copy yet? The author copies have not even gotten here yet.
oh,
People
wow.
were sending me photographs holding my book, and they were like, "We got your book," and I'm like, "Glad you did. I don't have one."
Yeah, it takes forever for the author copies to get there. I mean, it really does. I don't know why, but it does. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Amazon can ship out something to me and overnight, but for an author copy, it takes weeks, like 6 weeks sometimes. So, yeah, are you going to be doing any book signings anywhere that we can let people know once you get them in?
They are trying to schedule me a signing in Malibu,
Wow.
and there's possibly going to be one in Ventura County. I know that there are some large book festivals that are in New York, LA, and I think it's Atlanta and Chicago
Yeah.
that they said, if your book's taking off, then we want to get you there. And
Yeah.
so I don't know what all is ahead.
Yeah, you have
Uh,
to let me know. I would love to come to Malibu and come to one of your book sites or anywhere really, but especially Malibu. So, yeah, I think that'd be great. So, I'm glad to hear that. So, as you look ahead to the next chapter in your creative journey, what do you hope that your work, what is the legacy that you want your work to leave behind, whether it's novels or screenplays? What do you hope that your legacy leaves behind to the next generation?
well, I hope, and I say this to everyone, whether it is this book or the next book, or they take something and they create a movie. I want to know that for a few hours, that, life is so stressful and everything. I want to know that for a few hours, I was able to leave something behind that entertains people and takes them away from that hustle and bustle of everyday stress, where they can either get into this book or a movie or whatever. I want to leave something positive behind that they can enjoy,
Mhm.
that entertains them and takes them away from whatever is in their life that they need to
Yeah.
escape.
I love that. Growing up, I've always had a love of reading when I was little. And, like we won't get into it, but whatever, I went through some hard times when I was young. So reading was my escape. And I remember in fourth grade being in class, we had our whole wall of our classroom was just a bookshelves line. And instead of paying attention to the teacher, I was looking at the books going, what do I want to read next? And I love the Laura Ingalls Wilder books and the Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew books. So I was always picking out one that I was going to get, when it was break time or whatever. And so that escape is just, I mean, just like you said, the world is such a tough place right now. I mean, like some days, honestly, some days I don't even want to turn on social media. I don't even want to walk outside the house because it is rough. And so to be able to just get into a book and just immerse myself in it and actually feel like I'm there, I love that. I love that. So yeah, I love that. I cannot wait to get your book. So, and hopefully I can get it. I don't know if I'll get it before Christmas because that's 3 days away, but hopefully this weekend. So yeah, I'll let you know what I think about it. So
I would love to hear what
yeah,
you
I'm
think
sure I'll
about
love
it.
it. I'll leave you a really good review.
It is set in 1991's when it starts. Everything that I write is a period piece, either from back in Western times or even this is, 35 years ago,
Uh-huh.
um, because I just enjoy writing back in those times
Mhm.
better.
Yeah.
It seems like there's more to write about.
Yeah. Yeah. My brother-in-law, my sister's husband, he only reads Western stuff. He loves Westerns. So I need to get that for him. I should have ordered it for Christmas for him. He would love it because he loves the Western. He read all the Louis L'Amour books, those Louis L'Amour books. He just
Yes.
loves that genre. And I asked her a couple months ago, I said, does he just read Westerns? And she said, yeah. And she said, he's read every single one of those. And I was like, well, now what do I do? So, but
My next book will be it, everything is suspense thriller, but it's not exactly a Western. It's a suspense thriller set in the West
oh, wow.
because it's in 1870s, and it has a lot of mystery and
Yeah.
everything. So it's not a typical Western, but
Mhm.
it's set in the old West.
Mhm. Oh, I'm sure
And
he'll
it has
love
a
that.
twist because that's just what I like.
Now, are you working on that now, or do you have a release date planned? Or
I'm working on that one. I actually have four other stories that I am working on.
yeah,
I don't know which one. I think this one that I'm talking about will be the next book, and so we'll just see what happens. Like you said, there's so much going
yeah,
on
yeah,
and so many stories, and you don't have time to just write
yeah.
everything. But
I know.
uh, yeah, I'm thinking that's going to be my next one. But they
Good.
all have a twist
Oh, yeah,
because I
yeah.
love those mystery type stories or things that have an ending that you go, oh,
I know, I do too. And I was talking to my doctor about that today. I had asked her if she had seen this really not old movie, but it's I'm a couple 20 years old, Hide and Seek with Robert De Niro and Dakota Fanning. If you've never seen that, put it on your watch list. It's on Disney Plus and watch that. And I told her, I said, you have to watch it. And I said, it's not a horror movie. It's not like slasher killer. I don't like that.
right.
But it's a psychological thriller with a twist at the end. And oh my gosh, it is so good. And I saw it years ago, right after it first came out. And I watched it again the other day because it's that good. And so, yeah, but anyway, listen, thank you so much for coming on today. It's such an honor, and it's such a like a pleasure to meet you in person. I know we had that phone call yesterday with Kathy and Alan, and I'm just so glad that he got us to cross our paths and stuff like that. And I'm just so happy
So
to
am I.
know you. Yeah. And I do have plans to come to LA and have lunch with you guys. I just don't know when. He said, he was like, well, let me know. And I was like, well, you let me know. So yeah, hopefully
I
I
look
can do
forward
it
to it.
soon. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be a
So
lot of fun.
yeah. So, but thank you again. I really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me. I've enjoyed it.
So thank you guys for watching today. I know you're going to love Olive Richard's work. You can get his book on Amazon, and we've got it on the screen at the bottom. Just go to Amazon right now. Don't wait. Run there. Get the book. You're going to love it. And we're going to link his social media accounts. And yeah, you can find him anywhere. And tune in again next week for another great guest. And remember, you can do all things through Christ.